I'm now joined by the President of Lithuania, Dalia Grybauskaite. Thank you so much for joining us, Madam President. Now, there's so much talk, actually, that a lot of these summits are almost useless because they just get hijacked by concerns on the markets. What does Europe need to do today to stop any kind of speculation of countries going down?
No, the first council is not for the country decision-making. These kind of things can be done already on ECOFIN level, and it was done on Greek case, and it will be, if necessary, for Spain. But we do not think that it's today actuality. It's mainly markets' reactions to the councils. But council today is for European economic governance, future of 2020, and other questions, and sanctions including. These are questions we are going to discuss. Spain can be tackled and will be tackled as any country with their special facilities which already have been agreed before for Greek situation, and this is available in our hands. So there is no question for speculations at all.
Now, it seems that actually what Spain needs instead of the facility is actually a lot of stress tests being published. Would you agree that this is a good solution, that we need coordinated action?
Absolutely. The first, what we need is transparency in everything. Transparency in banking, in information providing for the public, for the markets. Because the speculations and perceptions are mainly built because of lack of information or perception that maybe something is hidden.
Now, we understand today also that Estonia will be given the go-ahead to actually join the euro. Does that give you hope that actually this crisis won't mean that anything has changed, that Europe will enlarge and that countries such as yourself will be taken in within the euro?
I think that crisis is supposed to change mentality, responsibility. That's what we need after the crisis. But that euro will enlarge, yes, it's good, and we're very happy for our neighbor, Estonia, that during the crisis they were able to show that discipline, political responsibility is still available and possible, no matter what conditions are.
You talk about changing the mentality, but so far we've seen very little. We have very little regulation. Do we need some kind of financial tax, a levy for financial institutions?
It can be. We need to agree on European level, but not only European level is sufficient. It's necessary to agree on G20 also, because if only Europe will do it, it's not enough and compatible in the world. And also inside the Europe, for example, Sweden now is already using this, some countries not. And for example, in Lithuania, we have mainly Swedish banks. What? We need to tax them twice? So these questions need to be tackled not separately by member states, but on European level at least, and then G20.
Are we going to have a decision on that today?
We are talking, and already in Council's conclusions there is proposal for such kind of introduction, yes, on the table. But final decision will be done today.
Now, what about budget cuts? We have two standoff positions. On the one hand, some saying, well, we need to have these approved by the European Commission before, and others saying, well, this is a matter of sovereign pride. Why should we go through the budgets within the European Union? Where do you stand?
You mean not cuts, but you mean on some kind of informational, providing information based on Stability Pact as European semester?
Yes, before actually implementing them in the national parliaments.
I think we have here a little bit misunderstanding in definitions, because in the very beginning it was talk that we need to provide some kind of preliminary budget. Is not really the case. We're talking now about convergence program framework where we can make it easier and faster and earlier in spring instead of autumn, but it's only preliminary and very, very general figures. It's not really the budget. In that case, it is not contradicting with practically any country's time frame, procedures, and national constitutional framework on budget adoption. From this point of view, it's easier to be accepted.
Now, the French say that actually it's easier to talk about economic cooperation within the 16 members that have the Eurozone. Do you think that's wrong?
Absolutely, because it's not only about Eurozone, it's not only about euro. Lithuania, for example, de facto we do have euro because we are pegged to euro. What? We can be loose? We can do whatever we want? No, I don't think so. Responsible governance in financial policies, that's responsibility of all Europe. And I don't want to see at all double Europe or two-speed Europe. We are in the market, we are in economic area, we are in the same entity, political, economic, and we need to be together and be responsible together for Europe's economic future.
But the UK seems to have a lot of resistance and actually being part of that dialogue for issues that they say doesn't concern them if it's within the Eurozone. Would you ask the UK to be more Euro-friendly?
Of course, we will be willing to everybody to be more European from the point of view European responsibility, because whatever happens in one country spillovers to another one, and no matter it's Eurozone country or not. Why responsibility is already needs to be global? Because challenges are global outside Europe and in Europe. You cannot tackle them separately at all.
And the US is actually saying we're very concerned about what's happening in Europe, because if you cut your budgets by too much, then that will hurt what the US is seeing. Are you concerned that these deficits and these austerity measures are too strong?
I will say that they're not yet finalized. Each country will have their own. But for some countries, especially if sovereign debt situation in the markets are difficult, we need to do whatever we can. And especially for smaller countries, as ours, as Baltic region, austerity measures are necessary because the deficits more than 6, 7 or 8% are practically very difficult to finance.
President Grybauskaite, thank you so much for joining us today.